happened is that 9 months exactly after Mitterrand finally passed away, after having finished his second term, uh, the SWAT team, the French army, was sent to my father's laboratory to arrest him, to arrest my mom, to arrest all the doctors and all the pharmacists who were working with him. And they destroyed everything. They came with machine guns, they came with dogs, there was an helicopter circling, like if it was, terrorists.
Welcome back to Cancer Cured Me, healing, manifesting, and living your best life. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with Sylvie Beljanski, a Parisian lawyer who walked away from her legal career to fight a very different kind of injustice, the suppression of her father's research into natural compounds that may support the body in fighting cancer. In her book, Winning the War on Cancer, and through the work she continues to do today, Sylvie offers something powerful. Not promises, but real, researched hope for anyone who has received a cancer diagnosis or who is supporting someone who has. In this episode, she shares what her father discovered about natural plant-based support during cancer, why she chose to dedicate her life to protecting his work, and how these approaches may sit alongside conventional treatment. If cancer has touched your life in any way, or you're simply open to new science-backed possibilities, this conversation offers a genuinely hopeful perspective. So let's begin. Sylvie, thank you so much for being with us today. This is amazing to have you on the podcast. So thank you for joining us all the way from New York.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to cross the pond virtually and be with you today.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I cannot wait for people to hear your story, your father's story, how you came to this place of doing such great work in the world. And I know it's not where you thought you would be. I know your life began as a lawyer. And so do you want to just jump straight in and start and tell us the story of what happened and why you are really carrying out your father's legacy now today?
Well, yeah, sure. So I grew up in Paris, France. I'm the daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter of scientists, all, generational thing, and they were not very happy people. So growing up, I said, I'm not going to do something else. My father was a PhD in molecular biology. My mom was working with him. She was a laboratory assistant, and she was working with him all the time. They were working all the time. And when I was 10 or so, we started to be invaded by people, sick people coming to the apartment, and they had been diagnosed with cancer, and they were crying, and they had stories which were ongoing, and then they were finally leaving, but they were coming back with flowers, chocolates, and so on a few months later. So as a little brat, selfish little brat, I thought this is never ending. When I grow up, I don't want to be surrounded with sick people. I don't want to hear about science. I will do something completely different. And eventually I went to law school. I became a French lawyer. I was sworn in at the Sorbonne. And but I knew that what my parents were doing was really, really important, and that he was helping a lot of people. I did not always stay a 10 years old little brat. I just thought it was not for me, and that I was never going to be involved. And in the early 90s, my father had published everything. He left a body of 133 peer-reviewed papers, had a real following of French doctors who were really interested in his approach to cure cancer. And in the early 90s, François Mitterrand was diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. It was at the beginning of his second term. The disease of the president has been kept secret during the first term. There was no social media at the time. I mean, the press could be, I mean, there could be some arrangements with the press, and the press would not report of anything damaging. And Mitterrand, at the beginning of his second term, was so sick that it was impossible to keep it as a secret. So the surgeon came to the French White House, the Élysée, and said the cancer has spread everywhere. The president is not going to make it to finish his second term. We have to prepare the country for early elections, and we are going to give him some morphine so he feels comfortable, and we are going to wait for the end. But Mitterrand had a mistress, and the mistress knew about a good doctor who had the good results on prostate cancer, even advanced prostate cancer. And that's how Mitterrand started to take the Beljanski products. And against all odds, and very visibly to all, because this was the president, Mitterrand started to get better and better. And as we know, he was able to finish his second term. For my father, a prostate was a prostate. I mean, that did not matter what the situation of the odor of the prostate. I mean, my father could not care less. A sick person was a sick person, and he was giving his best to whoever needed him. And he was absolutely not prepared as a scientist to the political events that would follow, to the political backlash. He was absolutely not prepared for that. What happened is that 9 months exactly after Mitterrand finally passed away, after having finished his second term, the SWAT team, the French army, was sent to my father's laboratory to arrest him, to arrest my mom, to arrest all the doctors and all the pharmacists who were working with him. And they destroyed everything. They came with machine guns, they came with dogs, there was an helicopter circling, like if it was, terrorists. Terrorists in a small French village just to arrest a scientist who was retired and was in his 70s and working with a small team of scientists in a French little village in the middle of France. And at that time, I was working as a foreign legal associate in a New York law firm. And I learned over the phone that both of my parents had been arrested. And my first thing as a lawyer was, okay, they are my clients. I want to speak to my clients. Mom, Dad, what happened? Are you well? And what happened? And that's how I first started to take care of their legal defense. And I got involved into that file through the defense of my clients. And the more I was looking into the legal file, the more fishy it was. The more it did not make sense. It was clearly not about bringing some people who had done anything wrong to justice. This was about destroying knowledge, destroying evidences. And they did not want any witness coming to court saying, well, I've been cured, and my father could have brought, hundreds of them. And they just did not want that. So they sat on the case. They put my father under house arrest, my mother under house arrest. There was a laundry list of things that were forbidden for them to do, including, of course, traveling. They had to surrender their passports. My father could not publish anymore. He could not speak to the press. There was a gag order. And my father was, for him, it was really, really important. He was until the end believing into justice, and he saw that if only he had his day in court, he could explain everything, he could justify everything, he could convince everybody. He could say, look at those people, listen to them. It's not me, it's them. And and they never gave him his day in court. And that lasted like over 2 years before my father passed away. And the last summer he told me, but is there any way we can have a day for a trial date? How come nothing is happening? How can they stop everything and then just sit on the case? And I said, obviously there is something not normal going on here. But the only thing I can think of is the European Court of Human Rights. And my father said, then I want you to go there.
Right.
And as a young lawyer, I had absolutely no idea. You go to the European Court of Human Rights. Where is it? And then, of course, I made the promise to my father, and I took the case to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. And it took 4 years, and it was too long for my father to see the decision. But we won an unanimous case because the French government would rather lose the case rather than explain what they have done and why they have done it. As of today, 30 years later, I have still not received any explanation.
Really?
Really. And that's why I said, well, they cannot win. This is outrageous. They cannot win. I have to do something, and I cannot save my father because they have seized everything. They had seized every product. There was nothing left for my father. When he needed the products, they were no longer available to him.
My gosh.
But I said, this knowledge, body of knowledge, I grew up seeing how effective it is. It's just good things. I know it. I don't know the details, but I know it's just good things. And I am going to carry on this legacy.
Amazing.
So I have to say that I have been helped by dozens of people who have came out of their way to help me one way or another. But the amount of love, trust, support I have received when I decided I am going to carry on has been absolutely tremendous. It was very heavy on me. I mean,
I should think
I just
so.
was not allowed to fail. But I received a lot of support in many ways.
Because as you said earlier, all your family were scientists and you were not interested in any of that. You went to law. So
Yes,
this was a huge change for you.
Yes, but and at the beginning, I was extremely resentful for the French government for what they had done to my family, and I was very upset also with all the newspapers saying, he was a crook, and all this was hocus pocus. I was upset. I was. And I wanted revenge at the very beginning. But I quickly realized that the most important was to continue to make the products available. And more importantly than the legal win in court, it was to carry on with the scientific legacy. And in 1999, I decided to create this Beljanski Foundation. There was no more laboratory, inside laboratory like my father had. I mean, all that had been destroyed. But I decided I would start partnerships with academic institutions. And over the years, we have been very lucky to work with Columbia University and Kansas University Medical Center, Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And all those reputable third parties now have published about the plant extracts that my father had discovered. And they have validated this research, and they have been able to take that even further with modern and new approaches that were even unknown at the time of my father. So now, I mean, the resentment has become a source of joy, pride. I could not be happier actually when I have the opportunity to speak about the research, recent research that has been funded by the Beljanski Foundation with those little plant extracts that my father discovered, and being able to share with a new generation of doctors, of scientists, the beauty of what my father discovered actually makes me, there is nothing better for me. And I am grateful now that I've been given the opportunity to have such an interesting life and the opportunity to continue to make a difference. Of now, I mean, we continue to have hundreds of people that have been diagnosed with cancer who come to us crying, and we do our best to give them the best advices we can, and then they come back and with such sometimes flowers, chocolates, nice reviews now on internet. Things are changing, but the cycle is continuing, and we continue to make a difference. And actually, there is nothing more, there is nothing better than that.
What an amazing story. And I mean, it's your life, but I just think it's incredible the way sometimes life works out and has this way of just handing you something that you could never have predicted would become your life's purpose, right? This has become
And
your
make
life.
me so happy.
Yeah, and so fulfilled. I mean, because really we all just want to help people. When you were practicing as a lawyer, you just wanted to help people, right? You wanted to fight for
Yes,
them.
yes, but the way I can help
But
them
this is,
now is so
yeah,
much more, I mean, significant than,
yeah,
winning a
it's
little legal case.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. So I'm sure that people are listening and going, well, first of all, what an incredible story. And thank you for carrying on your father's incredible work. And, we're talking about these plant extracts. And I know there's only so much we can actually talk about, but what is all the research? What is it? And we can get a little bit more technical here.
Yes.
I said to you before we came on, I've had cancer, but I'm not really good at explaining the biology behind it. And I think you're
Yeah.
much better at that than I am.
So back in the 80s, 60s, I would say, 70s to the 80s, Watson and Crick had just discovered the double helix of the DNA. And all the scientists around the world were, thinking only one way. The official way of thinking was that everything was genetic, influenced by our genes, and genetic medicine with genetic engineered drugs will solve all the diseases of the world. And
They thought
pharmaceutical
everything was genetic. Cancer was only genetic.
that was the idea.
Wow.
Pharmaceutical companies loved that because they said we are going to create a new generation of drugs that are going to be able patented because everything, it's a new approach, new idea, and we are going to make a lot of money. And my father was one of the first scientists to say, well, if the cancer was only genetic, the number of cancer would be pretty stable. But we see that there is an increase of cancer. So therefore, there must be something else, which is maybe, I mean, there is a genetic component, but there is obviously something triggering the genes. And maybe there is something beyond a genetic explanation. So my father started to look at how environmental toxins affect our DNA. And he then used that as a test to screen for a number of molecules that would, what is called, destabilize the DNA. The healthy DNA has the two strands of the DNA nicely interwoven, nicely kept together by hydrogen bonds. And when a cell turns cancerous, the DNA gets, the hydrogen bonds break, and the two strands are no longer well kept together. And that happens every time there is cancer, and whether you speak at plant cancer, animals, humans, it's always the same thing.
Okay.
You have those big loops. And my father was able to use the test that he had developed to also screen for some natural molecules who would eventually recognize those big loops, this destabilized DNA, target those cells with a destabilized DNA, and selectively prevent the duplication of those cells. And that's how we came up with those plant extracts, which are able to target cancer cells wherever they are located. So, I mean, the same plant extracts will be useful for prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer, brain cancer. It doesn't matter anymore. It recognizes cancerous cells wherever they are located. And it makes a difference. So it's not going to touch healthy cells. So no side effects, no toxicity to healthy cells. If you do not have destabilized DNA in your body, you are just going to eliminate naturally the product in a matter of hours when going to the bathroom. So that's why he was so successful with the French doctors back in the 80s, because it was kind of a one-fits-all approach without toxicity for patients. And what they saw is that also it was working in synergy with chemotherapies. It was not, nobody knew that at the time, but chemotherapies are, because they are very toxic, they also participate to the destabilization of the DNA, and they can, at some degree, induce cancer. So, because they destabilize the DNA, they make those cancerous cells even more visible, even more noticeable to those little plant extracts, and you have a nice synergy between plant extracts and chemotherapies. So it's a win-win for everybody, whether you choose conventional approach or not. And that's something we have been able to confirm recently at Kansas University Medical Center with new chemotherapies, because, products change. What my father was testing with back in the 80s are no longer the same chemotherapies that are being used today. But again, with carboplatin, with gemcitabine, we see that there is a nice synergy of action, again and again, with no added toxicity. And at the time already of my father, took some pictures, and he had a beautiful microscope. And I want to share that because I saw the pictures and I found them absolutely beautiful. Those plant extracts, Paupera and Revolfia vomitoria, and I will come back to that later on, they are naturally fluorescent. So the extract is naturally fluorescent. So you can see how they target, they invade the nucleus of cancerous cells, and then you can see how the fluorescence creates a halo around healthy cells and is not touching them. And you see the light coming inside the cancerous cells, and the light is, from a symbolic point of view, you can say the light is disinfecting and destroying, pulverizing those cancer cells. And I find that absolutely beautiful also from a poetic, almost poetic point of view. And I love it.
Oh my God, that is just wonderful. And that will be just giving people so much hope.
It does. And that's why I was so mad when I learned, that the French government wanted to destroy everything. I thought, this is too beautiful. This knowledge is too beautiful to be destroyed. I'm not going to let the barbarians win. That was really what I thought. So it was not easy to start all over again. those
No,
plant
I
extracts.
should
I
think
mean, I was
not.
like, what's the name of those plant extracts? And I have to say
Yeah.
that my mom, so thanks God, I mean, I had this family of scientists. My mom, who had been working in the lab with my father for 30 years, she survived, and I was able to get her here to come with me to New York, where she spent the past 20 years of her life, and she has helped me tremendously also to help to
Wow.
understand everything and get the knowledge I needed to get quickly, fast,
Yeah.
in order to move to production, to quality control, and then to new research with those products. So the plant extracts that my father discovered, one is coming from the Amazon rainforest. It's called the Pao Pereira, and we are using the bark, and it has anti-cancer properties. It has also antiviral properties. My father was able to have a clinical trial with this product back at the beginning of AIDS, when there was no, in the 80s, when there was no
Yeah.
other drug, medicine available to fight AIDS. And it was working very well for AIDS patients. And of course, there was absolutely no interest of the French government, even though they had nothing else at the time to help fight AIDS. They just did nothing with this clinical trial. But we know also that it helps with herpes, with HPV, with the flu. We have, and during the COVID, we had a lot of testimonials of people who were improving quickly by taking the Pao Pera extract.
Papera. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm just
and
going to say we're going to note this in the show notes in case people don't know what Pau Pereira is, but that will be
yeah.
in the show notes.
Yeah. And the Revolfia vomitoria is coming from Africa. The Revolfia is more well known for Serpentina, but my father liked better to work with Revolfia vomitoria. And it's a pretty well known plant in Ayurvedic medicine. But in Ayurvedic medicine, they are using the crude extract. And it turns out that the crude extracts contains an alkaloid called reserpine, which is toxic. So we go at great lengths to remove the reserpine, and we have an extract which is devoid of reserpine, is rich in alstonine, and has also anti-cancer properties. But it doesn't have the antiviral virus benefit like Pao Pereira, but it helps a lot with hormones, hormone balance. So menopause, hot flushes, infertility issues, troubles for teenagers with acne, all those things can be improved with a little bit of Revolfia vomitoria, and at the same time fighting cancer cells wherever they are located. He also came up with golden ginkgo extract. Forget everything you know about the ginkgo biloba, because it's generally made with green leaves. And here we are speaking of golden leaves harvested in
Okay.
the fall. The change of color of the leaf is actually a reflection of the change of chemistry. And those golden leaf extracts helps prevent skin fibrosis after radiation. That radiation may induce burns,
Yep.
and
I had
when
burning. I had
the
a lot of
skin is
burning.
burned, it becomes hard. The layers of fat under the skin are disappeared, and it's kind of a scar
Yeah.
tissue.
Yeah. Very
And
thick scar tissue. Yeah.
the golden ginkgo biloba extract is able to help with that, to help create new collagen. And what we have, the recent research that we have done at Kansas University Medical Center, was able to show that not only this ginkgo biloba helps with skin fibrosis, but it also helps with angiogenesis. Angiogenin is this other enzyme created by cancer cells that help cancer cells create new blood vessels. And they need to create new blood vessels because they need to get a lot of nutrients, because they need a lot of energy to multiply and create those big tumors, but also to spread to other organs. So by inhibiting angiogenin, you are just cutting the highways to come in and to go out. So you're starving the cancer cells, and you are also preventing them to spread. And then maybe the most amazing discovery of my father are little RNA fragments which are specific of the DNA of the bone marrow and help the bone marrow create a new generation of white blood cells and platelets. Chemotherapies are not specific to cancer cells, but they are specific to fast dividing cells. And that's why they destroy cancer cells, because cancer cells divide very, very often and multiply. But it turns out that a number of blood cells, and more specifically white blood cells and platelets, which are those cells that are needed for the blood to clot, also divide very fast. You create a new generation of platelets every day, and you create a new generation of white blood cells every week. So they are kind of collateral damage of chemotherapy, which just sees them as another kind of fast generating, dividing cells, and tends to destroy them along with cancer cells. So my father said, how is white blood cells and platelets created by the body? Well, everything comes from the gut. So the nutrients, the good nutrients go through the lining of the gut and then are transported by the blood vessels to the bone marrow. And the bone marrow gets those nutrients to create the white blood cells and platelets. But when you are under chemotherapy, you have all those nausea, the lining of the gut is damaged, and then you are not able to create a decent number of white blood cells and platelets, as they are destroyed by chemotherapy. So after a few rounds of chemotherapy, you have less and less of those white blood cells and platelets, and your immune system is not functioning properly.
Excuse me.
And your immune system is not functioning properly anymore. So my father came up with a shortcut to give nutritionally to the bone marrow, because it's absorbed under the tongue and it goes quickly to the blood and to the bone marrow, the nutrients that the bone marrow needs to create a new generation of white blood cells and platelets. And he came up with those little RNA fragments which help prime the DNA of the bone marrow. And you can see in 24 hours, you can see that you get back to a decent number of white blood cells and platelets, and the natural killer cells are activated. They stay in a very physiological number, but they are activated. And that's really...
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to turn off my microphone. I'm so sorry. I had such a tickle and I couldn't stop it. And you were just saying all this gold. Last week I caught my son's cough and it was on its way out, but it just caught me. I do apologize. Oh. What is the time? We will edit through that. So I didn't want to stop you right in the middle. Okay. Hopefully we'll calm down. Do you want to go back to...
Yes.
Because you're right in the middle of it.
So my father came up with those little RNA fragments which create a new generation of white blood cells and platelets. and also within the generation of new white blood cells, the natural killers are especially activated, and they stay in a physiological number, but they are activated. So you get a very strong immune system, and you don't get the flu, even when you have a kid at home who is bringing you the flu.
Give you, she says,
You
dabbing her nose.
you don't get it because you have a strong immune system.
That's incredible. Absolutely wonderful. So if someone is listening to this now and thinking, right, well, I need all of this, like, what can I be doing for myself? Like, what can I do? Because we've also talked a lot about the fact that it's not just because obviously cancerous cells form in our bodies. I've been told by experts before, like up to 3 times a year. Of course, when the body is, turning over so many cells so fast, then of course some of them are going to mutate. But it's about the environment, isn't it? It's about the environment of the body how we're choosing to live our lives.
Yes, so I love to speak about the research and how those plant extracts destroy cancer cells. But I love also to say, well, those plant extracts, they are going to act at the level of the cells, and they are going to make a difference at the level of the DNA, and they are going to give you time. The big question is, what do you do with this time? And you should use this time to understand why you got cancer in the first place. Because neither those plant extracts nor conventional medicine is going to go to the root cause. And unless you address the root cause, how do you want to really get rid of the disease once and for all? You have to look at cancer as an opportunity. That's why I love the title of your podcast. To look at, to learn how to make a difference for yourself. And to make the healthy choice. And it takes a lot of time, first of education, and then try to see what you can change in your life. And it's not easy. It's not easy to get rid of decades of habits, of family recipes, of toxic relationships. It's not easy. But if you really make sure that you are going to a healthy and happy place, you have to face those difficulties and resolve the problems. Because unless you resolve the problem is going to stay there.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you said that. I love that you said you've got to get to the root cause. You've got to find out why. Why did you get cancer in the first place? And it's not just bad
absolutely.
luck.
And it's complicated. I mean, there is a toxic exposure, there is ultra processed food, there is a stress, there is the silent inflammation, the gut imbalance, there is a lifestyle of not sleeping enough and drinking maybe a little bit too much, and then there is all the toxic emotions that you feel sometimes you are not in control of, and you allow them to run your life. Then the toxic relationships, I mean, and some you can get rid of, I mean, not easily, for example, through a divorce, but sometimes it's your mother, it's your father. You cannot even divorce them. So you have to learn how to protect yourself and shift your emotions to a better place.
Yeah. Oh, Sylvie, wonderful stuff. I'm so glad this is coming from you, because this is the stuff I say all the time, but this is really coming from a place of absolute expertise. And
one of my biggest joy is when I have people who come to me. Recently, for example, I had a lady coming to me who said, "Hey, that's me, Michelle. Do you recognize me?" That was So sorry, can you tell me more? And she says, I gave you a testimonial 20 years ago. I had been diagnosed with breast cancer, and I told you at the time that I was using the products together with chemotherapy, and there was no nausea, no burns, no nothing. And I was cruising through the treatment, and the doctors were surprised. And I was doing so much better than the other ladies in the waiting room and so on. And I said, okay, that's wonderful. Thank you for stopping by. So how have you been for the past 20 years? Oh, great. Never cancer relapse, never this, never that, never. And that's when I hear that again and again. That makes my day every time.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Isn't that wonderful? Oh, I'm so glad you found your life purpose here. I really am so glad. So what are I mean, obviously oh, no, it's contagious.
Excuse me.
I've sent it to you. Okay, I'm just going to make a note of what time we had another cough at 40 minutes. We're coughing away. My nose is dripping. Right, what was I going to say? Sorry, I was going to say, so Sylvie, you are clearly living, breathing, amazing proof of how wonderful this kind of lifestyle is. I mean, you look incredible. I don't know if we're allowed to disclose your age because you look
I'm turning 70 this year.
amazing, honestly, and you look like a good 20, 30 years younger. So clearly this works so beautifully. You've not had cancer.
Yeah,
Cancer
I have
wouldn't.
to. I want to say that it's really, really important to be in peace with yourself. I mean, I'm French. I have a glass of wine from time to time. I have a piece of cheese from time to time. Come on. I mean, and that's part of enjoying life. It doesn't mean
Absolutely.
to have a life of restriction, but having a happy life without. I mean, there is stress. There is always stress.
Yeah.
I mean, you run a company, you run a foundation, you run a family, you have a family. I mean, there is always stress. But
Yeah.
being in alignment, and the word alignment is really important to me. Being in alignment with the way you live your life purpose, and whatever you do on a daily life is the most important.
So good. So good. What would be your top tip? I feel like that was your top tip. You can still have a glass of wine. You can still have a piece of
Yeah.
cheese. But and also it's the way you receive it, isn't it? It's like if you're eating that cheese with so much guilt and worry and stress and say, I shouldn't be doing this, that is a very different environment for your body to receive it, isn't it?
Oh,
That's almost causing
absolutely.
inflammation right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just about balance, right? It's always coming
Yeah.
back to balance and as you said, alignment and I understand that you must have so much stress running these organizations as you do, but they bring you so much joy and you know it's what you were
Yeah.
meant to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell
I,
us
I wrote
how go on, sorry.
I wrote a book, Winning the War on Cancer, the Epic Journey
Yes.
Towards a Natural Cure. I tell the journey as I went through everything. And actually, it reads like a novel, and the book has received a number of prizes. It's a nice approach, I believe, to learn a lot about those plant extracts, about the research, about the new research, about the story of the foundation, about what we spoke about today with François Mitterrand. I mean, everything is there.
And it's winning
There
the
is
war on
also,
cancer. Winning the war on
yeah,
cancer. Yeah.
yeah. And there is also at the end of the book the protocols from Dr. Markovich. He was a good friend of my father. And cancer by cancer, he made some recommendations. So I included that in the book.
Wonderful.
And I believe that the book helps to answer a lot of questions of a lot of people. And if I give my author's proceeds to the foundation, So when you buy a book, every time you buy a book, you also help fund the next round of research. And speaking of the next round of research, I would like to say we are just wrapping up a beautiful study on breast cancer stem cells. Cancer stem cells are those cells which are responsible for metastasis, and they do resist chemotherapies. So there is nothing in conventional treatment that kill cancer stem cells. And when the doctor is saying, "Oh, you are doing well, your tumor is shrinking," he is actually destroying only the mature cells, the least aggressive, and the embryonic ones, the generation 2, stays in the body and is able one day, maybe, to wake up and create a new tumor. And so I believe everybody concerned with cancer should, on day one of the diagnosis, know about this research, know about those products. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until you get a second diagnosis to learn about cancer stem cells. We have had some research already done on pancreatic and ovarian cancer stem cells. The publications are available on the website of the foundation, beljanski.org. And we are wrapping up this research on breast cancer stem cells. It's beautiful. I mean, you see the mice which have been only received the breast cancer stem cells, they develop huge metastasis, and the mice who receive the breast cancer stem cells plus a mix of Paora, Wolffia, and green tea, no metastasis. It's absolutely beautiful. And I cannot wait to have that being published. And we are already funding research on prostate cancer stem cells because, I mean, we assume that it's going to be the same thing for gentlemen, but the proof is in the pudding. We have to do the research.
Oh my God. So this is incredible. And this is all published will be published on your website.
Absolutely.
So it's accessible to everybody.
Absolutely. Yes.
What incredible work.
At the Beljanski Foundation, we fund research and we make the research available to all so everybody can download this research, print it, and start a conversation with their doctor. And if the doctor is open-minded and reads, I mean, this would be a fruitful relationship, but sometimes you will discover that your doctor is not interested at all in anything, even if, I mean, obviously that could help you. Then that you will have a second look at the doctor and maybe look for another doctor.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah, we really need to spread the word on all of this. And could someone, I mean, I was saying to you just before this, I mean, honestly, I've had, I think, 4 people close to me tell me that someone in their life has been given a terminal diagnosis just in the last month. And so for those people, and I know we're not making huge claims, we're being very careful about what we're talking about, but it would be very interesting for them to obviously come and visit the website, to read your book, to find out more about the plants.
Absolutely. We have had a number of terminal cancers which can look like second lease on life. And then there are some also terminal cancers. Of course, a person was too weak and not interested in the first place. And you have also to respect that. I mean,
yes, exactly.
Getting better and recovering is not for everybody.
No. I think I heard you say something really interesting, that some people would prefer to choose to just go with the disease because it's too hard to heal. It's too hard to do the work and get to the root cause.
Absolutely. And there are some people who disease is a way to get out. They have already checked out. They are just releasing, I mean, the attention actually they get as they are sick, and but they don't want to get better. And I've seen that a number of times, and it is what it is, and you
Yeah.
have to respect.
Yeah, you
Uh,
respect everyone.
and people don't are not always aware of actually of their feelings. They don't know that they don't want to get better. They just feel that they are bullied by their spouse, who is say, take this, take that, go. We are going to see this doctor. We are going to see that other doctor, and they don't want any of it. But
No.
it has to come to the. It has really to come to the person.
Yeah, of course, of course. Oh my gosh, what else can we leave people with today? With this, it's just such an incredible episode. Everything you're sharing is absolute gold. Is there something that we can say to people? I mean, I know we talk about vitamin D being a great supplement. Are there other things? I know we've talked about, moderation and balance and all of those things. What might be your sort of your last pieces of advice?
All those things are, I mean, important. You don't wait for a diagnosis, actually, to get educated. Getting to a healthy place is for everybody. You don't, not just for somebody recovering from cancer. So educate yourself about detoxification and detoxify your life and every aspects of your life. And then maybe you will never have, hopefully, to deal with cancer and the aftermath of cancer.
Ugh, I love this. I love this so much. I say I had cancer so you don't have to. That's what I say to people. And that's exactly
Yeah,
what you're saying is
exactly.
just don't wait to get a diagnosis to start
Exactly.
living in alignment.
And there are so many cancer today. It's really most 50% of the people will get a diagnosis one day or another. That doesn't mean they are going to die from cancer,
No,
but they will get a diagnosis of cancer. So we need to prepare ourselves the best we can and try to avoid that as much as we can.
but
The,
really
uh,
we
the
can.
odds the odds are really stacked against us with so much toxicity.
Yeah, yeah. So we need to choose to live as clean a life as possible while still enjoying our lives very much indeed. Because living happily changes everything, doesn't it? Just being happy.
It is really, really important to be healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. It just live in joy. That's my motto. It's not always possible, but as far as possible, make sure you notice all the small things, and life is pretty joyful. Oh, Sylvie, you are amazing. Thank you for devoting so much of your life to this incredible work. I strongly urge everyone to go and visit these resources that you've given to us, the website, the foundation website. Would you want to just mention Maison Beljanski as well in
Yes,
Manhattan?
Maison Beljanski is Maison Maison, and then my last name Beljanski.com, all in one word. Maison Beljanski. It means house, and it's a little townhouse in Manhattan, and we have the products and in this house at Maison Beljanski, but also on the website maisonbeljanski.com. If you don't know which one to use to start with, you can also sign up for one of our coaching groups. We have sessions of group coaching and also individual health coaching, and that also can help you answer your questions and make informed decisions. And then
Amazing.
I don't know if you have already received the link to my book, and we give away also the first chapter of the book, so
Oh,
people can
wonderful.
download and see if they want to read the rest of it.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, we can link all of that on the website. And just to say that the coaching that you just talked about, that's all free of charge, isn't it? And it's accessible online as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to be in New York, but obviously I quite like to come and visit in person.
Looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you so much, Sylvie. You are amazing and continue doing this fabulous work in the world. And thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Yay! I'll stop the recording. Oh, that was incredible. What